What's up, ranchers? Welcome back to the ranch. All right, ranchers, today we're going to talk about 5 things you should be doing to hunt your private land with the upcoming bow season coming off next week. I'm here in my workshop, sitting, chilling. I'm not in my woods because I wanted them to quiet down, and the longer you could let them quiet down with preparation, the better. And it's hard. I want to be out there, but I can't be out there because I know the season's coming on Tuesday and I need to let the woods quiet down. So we're going to go into number 1, have a plan. In fact, have 2 plans. You don't want to just go out into the woods and figure something out the first day of opening day with no idea what's going on. You should have a plan, and you should have a backup plan. Now, what if you didn't get to your woods and do habitat and have food plots and you just got a piece of property and you're going to roll up and hunt? Well, make a plan. Grab some sort of map, grab some sort of hunting app, open up that map, take a look at the topiaries, take a look at the land layout, and try to get on that piece of private land with some sort of strategy. And I'd say 2 strategies. And that takes us to number 2. What is the weather going to be like? Before you go marching in on opening day, is it too hot? Is it too rainy? Is it too windy? What's going on? Optimally, we know with weather, you would like some sort of temperature drop, some sort of cold front coming in. So check your weather. So 1, plan. 2, weather. Number 3, which I think is a real important part, it's part of weather, but I think it's even more important than weather because I've gone out plenty of times in too hot, too cold, too windy. But this particular 3rd point, wind. What is the wind? Now, you need to know which way the wind is going. This goes back to your plan. This goes back to number 2 with the weather. You need to check this out. So now, which way is the wind going? Goes back to plan A and plan B. And why I say that is, on private land, you should be accessing nice and quietly with a plan and not just wandering around to get to a spot. So now you know the weather, you know the wind, you can institute one of those 2 plans. So depending upon which way the wind is going, we're going to use plan A, we're going to use plan B. So that's number 3. So we got a plan, we got weather, we got wind. So what we need to do to take this further is we need to know where the food and the bedding is for this early season coming up. And we should be hunting in between that 2. It's too early to be sitting on food, and it's kind of early to go marching into bedding areas. Because if you do it wrong right off the bat, especially if you're feeling like your plan is a little weak, you might blow out your whole property. And maybe on 1,000 acres, you get away with that. But on smaller properties like me, like this non-professional, just super enthusiast, I need to make sure I'm not marching into bedding areas or food plots right off the bat. Because if I alert them and put pressure on too hard, too early, I'm done. And you might be done too. So keep that in mind. So we need to know where our food is, where our cover and bedding is, and we should be hunting with our plan in between that. And again, if you didn't have a plan and you're looking at some topiaries and you're seeing points and you're seeing fingers, you might want to think that there could be bucks bedding there. Don't march right into that kind of an area. Try to work how the bucks are going to be moving off of that bedding point and where the food is, and try to catch them in between something like that. That's part of the plan. That's part of the weather. That's part of the wind. That's knowing where our food and cover is. Now, let's go into our next point, the shot. You've made it happen. You got there. You put the plan in place. You're using the weather. You're using the wind. And your target deer comes out. Well, have you been practicing? Are you ready to take this shot? Are you a nervous shooter? Do you know this? So you need to make sure you're aiming correctly. And a lot of the times, it's lower than a lot of people think. It would look like, oh my God, I'm aiming too low, maybe gut shotty. but we all know deer drop. So you need to keep that in consideration when you take that shot. So aim. And are you shooting your target buck, or is this opening day and you're looking at a doe? And yeah, it's standing in the exact spot you want your buck to stand in, exact part of your plan where it's standing, maybe underneath a mock scrape, maybe in a food plot, maybe it's right there perfect. But you got to remember, we're talking about kicking off early season opening day bow. Do you want to, on your private land, shoot this doe and now march in and chase it and tag it and get it and drag it out of your private small land and kind of put your scent and intrusion all over the place for a doe? Now, if you're a meat hunter, awesome. Cheers. Get it done. My freezer's looking a little full still. So my doe pressure is really low, meaning I'm not planning on taking a doe. So think about that when you're going in as your new next point. So lastly, we're going to come into a point and a 101 fifth and maybe most important thing we could talk about here. Wait. Don't hunt. This is, I know it's exciting. It's opening day. You can't wait. We could get out there. It's time. You've done the food plotting. You've cut the lanes. You've raked the trails. The cameras are up. You have the intel. But it's not quite right. Now, if you can wait, wait. And that's a hard point, reason, top 5 thing. But you got to consider it. Because if something goes wrong because it's not perfect, you could blow your small parcel and end your hunt before it even starts. And it's a long season. I know the season's here and it's exciting, but it's a long one. So you should be waiting. And lastly, as almost a bonus point, and this is a very important point, what are your neighbors doing? Because this is super important. On a private property, what are the neighbors doing? Are they hunting? Are they browning down neighbors? What's going on? So I know my neighbors are going to be taking does this year. They've already told me. As soon as they get there, they're shooting 2 does. So the deer are going to go into high alert on my area immediately, which is not that exciting, but it's not my property. It's their business, so that's fine. The thing is, you want to work with your neighbors if you can. Know what they're doing. Come up and agree on a plan together. If you guys could all hold off on shooting 6s and let them turn into 8s, or if you guys could hold off and talk about pictures and trail cameras and understand and have an agreement with your neighbors. Hey, this 8 is nice, but he could be better next year. Let's pass on him as a neighbor and work together. So important. Again, you got thousands of acres, by all means, shoot those. Shoot any buck you want right off the bat. But on a smaller, more intimate setting, kind of what I have going on at the ranch, I need to know what my neighbors are doing because I'm going to need to adjust. Just like part of my plan. If they're hunting, my plan changes because our properties are small and they don't use a lot of the strategies of access and weather and having a plan. They got their 3 stands and they are going to those 3 stands. Does not matter. And that could change a lot. So these are some 5 reasons, real quick, that I wanted to go over as I'm sitting here, enjoying the evening, having a cigar, having a little drink, wanting to be in the woods, but not exactly getting out there and spooking my neighborhood, sitting here, kind of hunting already before I get out there and hunt. And this is something you should be doing. And if you're watching this video, you are doing it. So good for you. And I appreciate you tuning in and watching this. So those are some reasons that you need to roll around in your head as like a 101 deer hunter as the opening day approaches this week. All right, guys, thanks for watching.